Intimacy of touch with moon in Ardra Nakshatra. With the moon in Ardra, touch is not gentle. It is electric, elemental, and often a storm system of its own. You don't touch or get touched to simply feel close. You touch to feel truth, to rupture the silence, to test whether intimacy can hold the weight of everything you're feeling but haven't said out loud. For you, touch isn't a greeting, it's an invocation. Ardra is ruled by Rudra, the storm god, lord of destruction, purification, and primal expression. That means your lunar body holds volcanic emotional intensity, even when you appear composed. When it comes to touch, you aren't always soft first. You're searching. Touch must pierce the surface, not skate over it. If someone reaches for you with mindless affection, you may flinch or go cold, not out of rejection, but because your body won't fake connection. You are not soothed by generic warmth. You crave penetrating presence. A grip that steadies you mid-breakdown. A forehead-to-forehead moment in the middle of chaos. Touch, for you, must be charged with emotion, even pain, even grief. Especially truth. You open when someone dares to meet you in the depths, not when they stay on the shore. But here's the paradox. Despite your emotional ferocity, you are deeply sensitive. Your skin remembers everything. A brush of the arm at the wrong time can flood you with overwhelm. A careless caress can feel like betrayal. So your body scans each touch for intention. If it's manipulative, ungrounded, or emotionally evasive, you withdraw instantly. And yet, when you feel safe, when someone offers touch with raw honesty and compassionate steadiness, your heart cracks open. You are capable of a touch that heals through grief, that steadies in storms. That anchors people in their own emotional chaos because you've walked those edges too. You don't just touch for comfort, you touch to transmute. In relationships, you may seem unpredictable in your physicality. Sometimes intense, sometimes distant, but beneath it is a clear pattern. You need touch to match your emotional truth, not control it, not bypass it. When a partner can handle your emotional climate, not fix it, but stay present through it, you trust them with your body like never before. To deepen this intimacy, speak from the body's storm. Say, touch feels safe to me when it's honest, even if it's intense. Or, I respond to contact that doesn't try to calm me, but witnesses me. These truths are your gatekeepers, not walls, but thresholds, and allow yourself to receive softness even in the middle of your fire. Let someone hold your hand when your rage is rising. Let a slow embrace interrupt the spiral. Let someone kiss you without asking your pain to go away, only to remind you that you don't have to carry it alone. Because when touch becomes not management, but meeting, not comfort, but communion, your Ardra Moon finds the intimacy it was forged for. Touch that does not fear the storm, but steps into it willingly, offering not escape, but embodiment. A closeness that doesn't pull you out of the rain, but stands beside you, soaked and steady, saying, I'm here, let it pour. Intimacy of sensate with moon in Ardra Nakshatra. With the moon in Ardra, your senses are floodgates to transformation. You don't simply notice sensation. You absorb it, metabolize it, and let it rewire you. Every sound, scent, texture, and glance has the potential to awaken, unravel, or overwhelm you. Sense intimacy for you isn't about comfort. It's about emotional activation. You connect when what you sense feels real enough to shake you. Ruled by Rudra, the storm god whose power both destroys and purifies, your moon doesn't crave sensory beauty for its own sake. You're not drawn to the gentle and predictable. You are moved by sensation that disrupts denial, that reflects the raw pulse of life. You want touch that speaks grief, sound that cuts through masks. You need your senses to make meaning, not just provide pleasure. You feel most intimate when sensation is anchored in emotional truth. A shiver of tone in someone's voice, the tremor in their hands when they lie, the way scent lingers after a fight. These sensory details don't escape you. They are the map. You read people through your senses long before you believe what they say. And if what you're sensing doesn't match the surface, you trust the sensation, not the performance. Because of this, you are often on edge in shallow environments. Artificial smells, forced sweetness, hollow gestures, they agitate your nervous system. You don't want curated perfection. You want raw coherence. A messy kitchen where grief is being cooked into soup. A voice cracking mid-song because the lyrics are too close to home. These are the things that pull you in. But your sensitivity comes at a cost. You can become overstimulated, jagged, or emotionally fragmented if sensation arrives without care. Loud noise, chaotic touch, or intense smells when you're emotionally raw can push you into retreat. Your moon needs intentionality, sensation that respects your current internal weather. And when you feel held, when sensation is used with awareness, not agenda, you become exquisitely present. You smell everything. You remember the sound of someone's breathing mid-confession. You become the kind of lover who knows how to reach someone without a word, because you've tuned your entire body to truth. To deepen this intimacy, speak to your sensory gatekeeping. Say, I'm deeply responsive to subtle sensation, if it's sincere. Or, beauty lands for me when it's raw, not polished. These aren't preferences, they are coordinates of trust. And let yourself receive sensation not just as stimulus, but as medicine. Let a sound cleanse you. Let a texture ground you. Let someone's eyes soften the storm in you without asking you to explain it. You don't always have to name what sensation is doing to you. Sometimes feeling it is enough. Because when the sensate becomes not decoration, but devotion, when it reflects the emotional weather inside you with tenderness and truth, your Ardra Moon finds the intimacy it longs for. A sensory mirror that doesn't try to make you quieter or prettier, but simply more whole. A love that says, let me feel you, as you are, in shadow, in lightning, in song. Intimacy of kindness with Moon and Ardra Nakshatra. For your Ardra Moon, kindness is never performative. It must be potent, precise, and rooted in reality. You don't melt for empty sweetness or polite empathy. You open to kindness that understands your storm, that doesn't flinch in the face of your emotional extremes, and that stays present without pacifying. You crave a kind of care that doesn't rescue you from the rain, but holds your hand as it falls. Ardra is ruled by Rudra, the fierce yet compassionate force of emotional purification. Your moon carries intensity with vulnerability, intellect with ache. And so, kindness that lands with you must be anchored, aware, and unafraid of your depth. A partner who says, I see you breaking and I'm not leaving, speaks your true language of intimacy. You are often kind in ways others miss. You listen deeply, you show up in crisis, you offer truth even when it's hard. Your kindness may come in the form of emotional accuracy rather than overt warmth. You don't always soothe, but you witness. And in that, there's healing. You respect people enough not to sugarcoat life for them, and you crave the same respect in return. Because of this, shallow niceties often feel insulting to your intelligence. You don't want smiles that mask avoidance. You don't want generic affection when you're clearly unraveling. You want kindness that asks real questions, that knows how to hold pain without trying to fix it. You want to feel like your full emotional complexity is allowed to exist without being a problem. But your challenge lies in receiving kindness without suspicion. You are so used to navigating life with a sharp edge, so attuned to false promises and emotional betrayal, that when genuine compassion shows up, you may scan it for cracks. You may deflect it with humor, intellect, or even hostility. Not because you don't want love, but because you fear its fragility in the face of your truth. Yet the deepest part of you longs to be met gently, to be shown that you are lovable even when you're sharp, scattered, or spiraling, that you don't have to be easy to be embraced. You need someone who sees your chaos and stays anyway, not out of duty, but out of devotional knowing. To deepen this intimacy, share your inner workings. Say, I value kindness that shows up in hard moments, not just happy ones. Or, I'm slow to trust, but when kindness is consistent and unflinching, I open. These are thresholds, not barriers. They let someone love you on your own terms, fiercely, gently, truly. And let yourself be touched by kindness even when it feels unfamiliar. Let someone bring you food without asking. Let them check in without demanding a response. Let their care exist beside your pain, not as its antidote, but as its companion. Because when kindness becomes not correction but companionship through complexity, when it makes space for your emotional storms instead of shrinking from them, your Ardra Moon finds the intimacy it's built for. A love that doesn't sanitize your weather, but sits through it, soaked, honest, unshaken. A bond that says, you are not too much, you are simply this sacred, this sharp, this vast. Intimacy of growth with Moon in Ardra Nakshatra. For your Ardra Moon, growth is not gentle. It is storm-forged, truth-torn, and soul-rearranging. You do not evolve in neat cycles. You break to grow. You burn down old belief systems and walk through emotional wreckage in order to rebuild something real. Intimacy for you must be able to weather that fire. It must not only accept your transformation, but expect it. Ruled by Rudra, god of storms and renewal, Ardra carries the energy of emotional upheaval that purifies. Your growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from intensity, from confronting pain, dismantling illusions, and digging deep into what others might avoid. So in love, you crave a partner who doesn't romanticize stability, but who meets your evolution as sacred. You are drawn to relationships that challenge your mind and confront your shadow. You don't just want affection. You want awakening. A partner who can reflect your contradictions without judging them. Someone who doesn't try to keep you calm or safe, but true. Someone who's not afraid when you say, "I'm not who I was yesterday," because you're not. Your emotional body is constantly updating, refining its truth, processing past pain, and integrating lessons with razor-sharp clarity. But your growth is not chaotic, it's conscious. You don't evolve just for the sake of change. You evolve because integrity demands it. However, your growth edge lies in letting others grow at their own pace. Your mind moves fast, your insight cuts deep, and sometimes you want your partner to keep up, to shed old patterns as quickly as you see through them. But not everyone processes like you. Some people grow in stillness, not storms, and part of your emotional mastery is learning to witness without pushing. You also need to be reminded, you don't have to suffer to grow. You are so familiar with crisis as a catalyst that peace may feel suspicious. But intimacy doesn't always have to erupt to be real. Sometimes growth happens in quiet repair. In letting someone love the in-between versions of you, not just the phoenix rising. To deepen this intimacy, say, "I evolve through intensity, but I need someone who doesn't fear that." Or, "I'm not afraid of growth. What I need is a partner who grows with me, not against me." These truths carve a path for shared transformation, rather than solitary reconstruction, and allow someone to love you mid-metamorphosis. Let them touch you when you're still ash and not yet reborn. Let them offer comfort without rushing your becoming. Let growth be something you co-experience, not just survive. Because when growth becomes not rupture, but reverent expansion, when your inner weather is met with bravery and grace, your Ardra Moon finds the intimacy it was designed for. A love that doesn't flinch at your evolution, but evolves beside you. A bond that says, "You don't have to stay the same for me to stay. You only have to stay honest." Intimacy of activity with Moon and Ardra Nakshatra. For your Ardra Moon, activity isn't just about motion, it's about emotional alchemy through engagement. You don't bond in passive stillness. You connect by doing something real. Movement helps you metabolize feeling. Conversation helps you map your mind. Action helps you breathe through chaos. For you, intimacy is often born in the middle of intensity, not in avoidance of it. Ruled by Rudra, the deity of storms and catharsis, Ardra's lunar energy seeks clarity through disruption and release. This means your emotional rhythm benefits from catalytic activity, a late-night walk after a fight, assembling furniture in silence, sharing a project that opens up deeper truth. You don't always talk through your emotions. You move through them. Your moon is restless in still environments. Too much predictability or routine can make you emotionally stagnant. You need variety, mental engagement, and space to respond to your shifting inner weather. But not just any activity will do. You're not interested in shallow busyness. You crave purposeful engagement. Tasks that awaken insight, stimulate growth, or help you process your storm. You bond most deeply with people who can co-create rhythm with you. Not someone who tries to slow you down or speed you up, but someone who understands that emotional movement requires physical movement too. You want a partner who says, "Let's do something with this," not, "Let's ignore it until it passes." Someone who's not afraid of the mess of doing as a path to healing. You give affection through participation. You'll help your partner rewire their space, brainstorm their project, or run errands during their meltdown. Your love shows up through effort and motion. But you need your contribution to be recognized, not taken for granted. When your activity goes unnoticed, your moon may go numb or sharp. You need the exchange to feel alive and emotionally mutual. Your challenge comes when you use activity to outrun emotional stillness. You may keep moving so you don't have to feel the ache fully. But real intimacy invites you to pause long enough to let presence catch up with movement. You are allowed to stop and still be loved. To deepen this kind of intimacy, speak to your rhythm. Say, I connect best through shared activity, especially when things feel hard. Or, I feel most seen when someone joins me in doing, not just talking. These aren't just preferences, they are pathways into your emotional world. And let yourself be still while staying connected. Let someone sit beside you without solving. Let your hands rest while your heart speaks. Let intimacy exist even when nothing is being fixed. Because when activity becomes not distraction, but dynamic communion, when it's a shared container for emotional process, not avoidance, your Ardra Moon finds its true form of intimacy, love that moves with you through the wreckage and the rebuilding. A bond that doesn't just weather the storm, it walks with you inside it, tool in hand, heart still open, ready to build something true. Intimacy of allowance with Moon in Ardra Nakshatra. For your Ardra Moon, allowance is not silence, it's sacred space. You don't need someone to tiptoe around your moods or pretend everything is fine. You need someone who says, be what you are, even if it's raw, messy, or unfinished. Emotional allowance for you is not about being left alone. It's about being allowed to unravel without judgment and reform without pressure. Ruled by Rudra, the god of storms, breakdown, path, and purification, Ardra's emotional terrain is intense and shifting. One moment you may need solitude, the next you're aching for closeness. Your feelings don't arrive in polite waves. They come as weather fronts. And the only way you feel safe in intimacy is when your inner turbulence isn't treated as a problem to fix, but as a truth to witness. You are emotionally intelligent and aware. You know when you're too much. You see your chaos. But allowance for you is knowing you don't have to apologize for your processing pace. You need space to break apart and reassemble, again and again, and to be loved inside that cycle, not only once it's done. And yet, despite your need for space, you don't want emotional distance. You want someone close enough to stay, but wise enough not to push. You want the kind of lover or friend who says, I'm here. I'm not afraid of your fire. Take your time. I trust who you are. Even when you don't yet. You give this allowance to others as well. You can hold someone in their rage, their grief, their questioning, without needing them to wrap it up. You're often the one others turn to when things fall apart, because you don't need things to be clean to love them. But sometimes you forget. You deserve that same grace. Your challenge is internal, the belief that your darkness is a burden, that your healing must be hidden, that if you ask for space, you'll lose connection. But your deepest intimacy begins when you realize you don't have to shrink to stay loved. You don't have to be emotionally efficient to be worthy of staying. To deepen this intimacy, speak to your core. Say, I open more when I'm allowed to be who I am, even when I'm in process. Or, if you stay present while I shift, I'll come back clearer, fuller, and even more real. These are not disclaimers. They are declarations of truth. They help others walk beside your weather, not away from it. And allow yourself to receive without performing. Let someone love the version of you that hasn't figured it out yet. Let them hold your silence. Let them laugh at your anger without fear. Let them witness your becoming without rushing your arrival. Because when allowance becomes not distance, but devotion without demand, when your edges, spirals, and pauses are all welcomed, your Ardra Moon finds the intimacy it truly trusts, a love wide enough to hold the storm and soft enough to hold you, a closeness that whispers, you don't have to be healed to be held. Intimacy of giving with Moon in Ardra Nakshatra. With the Moon in Ardra, your giving is ferocious and layered. You don't give casually. You give from the center of your emotional storm. You give what you've earned the hard way. Truth, resilience, clarity, and depth. Your love doesn't come wrapped in ribbons. It comes wrapped in reality. You give not to impress, but to heal, transform, or awaken. And when you give, it is impossible to ignore. Ruled by Rudra, the deity of destruction and regeneration, Ardra knows the language of loss and how to build love out of it. Your giving often emerges in moments of rupture. You show up with medicine when others offer silence. You walk into wreckage with a flashlight and a toolkit, ready to help rebuild. You don't just give affection. You give presence when it matters most. You may not always express love through softness. Sometimes you give through clarity that cuts. Through words that hurt, but free. Through action when no one else is brave enough to move. You might be the one who says the thing that breaks the illusion, or who stays up all night holding someone's rage. Your giving is often messy, real, and fiercely loyal, but it is also exhausting when not reciprocated. You are deeply attuned to emotional imbalance. If you keep giving truth and receive evasion, or give loyalty and receive absence, your moon begins to burn. You may lash out or disappear, not because you stopped caring, but because your giving needs to be met with energetic respect. And here lies the heartache. You often give more than you let others know. You process their pain. You carry emotional fragments. You scan the space to make sure they're okay, even if they never asked. But your own needs? You rarely name them. Part of your healing is learning that you deserve to be held with the same fire you offer. You also give to understand yourself. Your love becomes a mirror. What you offer to others helps you see who you are becoming. But sometimes you give before you're ready, before your boundaries are clear, before someone has earned your storm-forged medicine. You are not obligated to keep giving to those who can't hold what you carry. To deepen this intimacy, speak with honesty. Say, when I give, it's intense and real. I don't expect perfection in return, but I do need emotional presence. Or, I give best when it flows both ways, when my effort is felt, not just received. These aren't conditions, they're containers. They help protect the purity of your offering and allow yourself to give without rescuing. Let your love be powerful without taking on more than you have capacity for. Let your giving be chosen, not compulsive. You don't have to prove your worth through sacrifice, because when giving becomes not survival but sovereign offering, when you're met by those who can match your fire with steadiness, your Ardra Moon finds the intimacy it longs for. A love brave enough to receive your truth, and kind enough to give it back. A connection forged not in ease, but in mutual reckoning, devotion, and renewal. Intimacy of receiving with Moon in Ardra Nakshatra. Receiving, for your Ardra Moon, is both deeply desired and deeply destabilizing. You are so accustomed to standing in the wreckage, so wired to offer insight, care, and truth, that letting someone offer you anything real can feel like an emotional exposure you weren't ready for. You don't resist receiving because you don't want it. You resist it because you don't know if it will last. And your body remembers what it's like to be left holding the pain alone. Ruled by Rudra, the god of emotional purification, Ardra is not afraid to grieve, purge, or rebuild. You give with intensity, stay through darkness, and hold space for complexity. But when someone tries to give back, support, tenderness, shelter, you may meet it with suspicion. What's the cost? Do they really mean it? Will they stay when they see all of me? Your receiving is cautious because your sensitivity runs so deep, it feels like a fault line. You feel everything. The emotional subtext behind the offering, the sincerity or absence of it in the voice, the trembling in the hand that reaches for you. Your system won't take in what doesn't feel clean, coherent, and real. You can't fake trust, and you shouldn't have to. Yet your deepest longing is to be received, fully. Not as the one who holds others, not as the one who explains everything, not as the one who always understands, but as the one who gets to collapse sometimes. You want someone to say, you don't have to earn this. To offer care with no agenda. To meet you not just in your fire, but in your fragility. You may deflect with sharpness, humor, or detachment when someone gets too close. But that's not rejection, it's a flair for safety. What you need most is a kind of receiving that doesn't pressure or pity. One that waits at the door, gently, until your nervous system says yes. And when you do let love in, when you trust the sincerity of an offering, you receive with astonishing depth. You become soft, present, still. You hold that moment like a sacred object. You remember it. You let it nourish you, until you can give again from a place that's no longer running on empty. To deepen this intimacy, speak to your pulse. Say, I want to receive, but it takes time to trust. When the offering is steady and real, I open. Or, I feel safest receiving when I'm not asked to perform gratitude or give back right away. These truths teach others how to give to you with respect for your rhythm, not pressure, and allow yourself to receive even when it feels unfamiliar. Let someone wrap you in quiet. Let them anticipate your needs before you name them. Let love arrive unannounced without needing to prove itself. Let yourself be held without solving anything. Because when receiving becomes not surrender but shared sacredness, when it is offered with care and welcomed without guilt, your Ardra Moon finds the intimacy it rarely dares to hope for. A love strong enough to hold you even when you're unformed, unraveling, or undone. A love that says, you don't have to be the storm survivor here. You get to rest. You get to be loved back.